originally from Yorkshire.
Whereabouts in Yorkshire?
South Yorkshire.
Oh dear.
Born in Rotherham.
Oh right, I was born in Doncaster. Yeah, okay. Right, so, we've just had it throwing the cup. So it's all right,
It's okay.
We'll clear it
No
up.
bother.
Just put it on there, we'll sort it out. It's all right, yeah? Go. Yeah, it's all right.
It doesn't surprise me that there aren't many people here today because Parkinson's is the least fashionable thing ever to talk about. So it's absolutely no surprise whatsoever. We're quite thick-skinned. We're used to people kind of walking away from us and thinking, ugh, you know. So thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
So, John, so at your talk, are you ready to start? What's it all about then?
So it's about me, my last 3 years from diagnosis through to where we are now. And it's kind of about positivity, having Parkinson's, being positive and trying to get through it by the use of painting. I've painted for a lot of years and it's kind of a combination of the three things. So the screen isn't working, so there's not many of us, so we'll just kind of improvise and just show you the images that I've got as we go. So this is me. This is me. This is me and my painting. A friend of mine did a sketch. And what I was going to do was, because it's about mental health, I was going to kind of plot my journey over the 3 years with the bereavement grief curve. So where I'm at it. And how I'm coping with it all, because you know it is grief that you go through with a diagnosis and trying to accept it. So I was using this tool to kind of say, well, I'm about here, not a linear process. I'm going to be flicking around, and it kind of plots where I'm at, where I'm thinking. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the grief curve, there's a shock stage to start off with, where you kind of in paralysis. You think, what the heck's going on? Denial stage. I'm in denial most of the time actually. I like being in denial. It's a safe place where I kind of feel the most healthy, but everybody tells me to stop being in there. So trying to avoid the inevitable. Anger, that's quite obvious really what that is. Frustration. At the bargaining stage when you're trying to think, you know, if I do this, maybe I can get away with it, you know. And that's a lot of the fundraising that I've been doing. I'll talk to you about that. Depression, self-evident testing stage, and then acceptance. I'm not in acceptance. I don't think I ever will be, to be perfectly honest with you, but we'll go with it. So, Tobago, December 2017, I was on holiday, and I wrote a postcard to my auntie, and my friend who I was there with my girlfriend, and she said, how the hell are you going to get somebody to read that postcard? Because the handwriting was so tall, so small, and it's what they call micrographica, and I didn't realise it this time, I just thought my handwriting was very small. Didn't think anything of it. And then I went back to England, and there was just a few symptoms, a few things that were adding up. You know, like I was just slowing down, I couldn't turn the key in the door, my foot was going achy when I was running, you know, like twisting. And I put them all together and I thought, I went to the GP, and I went for something else, as you do, and I said, just while I'm here, can you just have a think about it? And she did the usual tests that we're all familiar with. I'm looking at Sheila because she knows everything like this. And asked me to walk up and down the corridor. Obviously my arm didn't move because it doesn't when you've got Parkinson's, usually. And went to the neurologist, and my gotcha day, I like to call it my gotcha day, was the 12th of September 2018. I got the official letter saying, you're the lucky person who has Parkinson's. So, but in between that I had quite a lot of appointments and tests. So in this stage I was completely in shock and immobilised, as you'd expect. But my attitude was don't pity me, sponsor me. So I took on a London to Paris bike ride with a friend, and I'd never ridden a bike in anger before, and I got a coach to try and coach me to some kind of standard. And it was definitely, I was angry, I was frustrated, but I did this big thing on Facebook, you know, to all my I told people who I knew very closely that I got it. But all the kind of friends that you don't see regularly, they got this long-winded message saying, get on and sponsor me. Painting-wise, I look back on my paintings then, and they're really I really needed to express myself, and this was like, you know, somebody holding me, and you know, I just felt really like I needed to be held and cocooned. I
Sorry,
didn't see that a bit.
Yeah.
And I look back now and I'd never paint that now, but then I really felt a real urge. I didn't like it particularly, but I just felt I needed to, you know, say something about how I felt. Thank you. So I did all my training. I had quite a few highlights, quite a few lowlights. I had a head-on with a horse in the Leicestershire countryside. The horse came this way and I veered off, forgetting that my tyres were really thin. I didn't know where I was. That was horrible. God, so many incidents. Have you ever cycled with cleats when your feet get stuck in? Oh, horrible. Where you got your feet that trap into your pedals, and you're told you're meant to cycle like that, and then you slow down, your momentum goes, and then you fall off because you can't get your foot out of the pedal. That was. I had 2 guys that took me out on a bike ride. They said they'd done something to Paris. They took me out. I thought they were being really friendly, and actually they were being really mean. I had the worst day of my life, I think. They tried to make me go faster. They were kind of quite. When I look back, I was really upset about that. I did 50 miles with them, but it wasn't a very nice experience. And then, and all this was total denial, I think. I was just kind of, yeah, I can beat this, you know. This is not affecting me. Anyway, we did it. But we did it on the week that was the hottest week on record. You know, the week that was 45 degrees in France. So we had jelly babies melting in a bag on. What was quite interesting, I'll tell you, there was about 25 of us that were doing it for charity, and the rest of them mostly were doing them for charities that, you know, they're a group of lads that were you know, professional cyclists, all the gear. Didn't like us because we were really slow. I was really slow. I have to admit it, I was really slow. But it was meant to be a mixability group, you know, so they were on the phone to their wives on the first night saying, we've missed the ferry because of these girls. And felt really awful, actually, and my friend was quite upset. I didn't care, I was just thinking, well, we're entitled to be here. Anyway, as the week went on, we set off early every morning to get ahead of them, and we did everything we could to keep going. And we finally did it, and on the last night, we were in the evening supper, the evening meal thing, where everybody reviews the week. And a lot of them had got their wives out. They'd come out to Paris and they were celebrating with them. And they got us all to do a talk about our particular charities, and I was the last one up. They knew what they were doing, I think, and it was kind of, I did a bit of a talk about Parkinson, and I said, and I've got it. And that's why I was slow. And there's a few quite embarrassed faces, quite shocked family members, because they'd obviously heard the story. So I had felt quite proud at that moment. My friend, who she'd been on this whole journey with me, had a bit of a meltdown, too many glasses of wine, went in the cubicle, in the toilets. And so we'd got these luminous fluorescent arrows that had shown the way all the way through the 4 days of travelling. And we'd been presented with them. So me, I went into the loo and I poked the arrow through the cubicle door and went, hello, it's me, come out, don't be sad, don't be sad. And I went on for ages. And then I realised it wasn't there. And there's a French woman somewhere out there that thinks, you know, crazy English woman. She was upstairs having a meltdown, but we made it up. So I was being all bravado and doing this cycle ride, and meanwhile on the inside, loss, bereavement, confusion, fear. And I did this painting because it was like I made a collage of all the kind of images that cool women, you know, in nice magazines with nice clothes on, and how it all felt like that was not me anymore, you know. You just don't know, it breaks you, the diagnosis does. So, probably in denial, probably bargaining, flitting around between them all. So then what do? I do another challenge, because it's the way I kind of react to things. So I did a 24-hour dance-a-thon to raise money for Parkinson's. Only I did it on the weekend when the clocks go back, without realising. So it was 25 hours. And then my friend who did the disco made us stand there and watch him put the clock back again. But we danced, and it was all about friendships. We had a few meltdowns. We had some old... I run a thing called Friday Club, a social dining club for the elderly on a Friday afternoon. And two of the residents, two of the people who come to it, Peggy and Frida, one's 80 and one's 70. And they came and they danced up until 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was in the time of the local elections, and there was our prospective MP there. And he was dancing, and he said, wish those two would go, because I daren't go. I can't give in until those two pensioners go. So that was quite funny. And there's this word, at this stage I kept being told I was an inspiration. Sheila loves this. It's our joke, isn't it? Because we love being called an inspiration. Because we're not. We're just doing what we can do to get by. And it's kind of like, you always say, I've been inspirational today.
Yeah. If ever you give a talk, the person saying thank you will say you're an inspiration.
So I'm still in denial at this stage. And so then I thought, what else can I do? I was feeling a bit depressed as well, so I thought I'll do a 20-day retreat. So I went on March the 1st, 2020, for 20 days, to a Welsh caravan up a hillside. Just me, no internet, no contact with anybody, and painted for 20 days, which was great. And I painted this, letting go. I feel like it was like kind of letting go of things, and I hadn't got I do life drawing, and there was no life drawing model, so I had to use my own hand to paint and get by with whatever I could do. Yeah, and the painting's up there actually, up on the wall. And I wrote a journal, so I called it 20 Days in 2020. The nice thing about it was I did 20 days, learnt about social isolation, learnt about how to cope, took the dog up with me. And then 3 days later when I came back, we did isolation for good, because we went into lockdown, didn't we? So I was an expert at it by then. I had 3 days of reprieve. I was certainly in depression stage here. It was quite low. It was good for me to be quiet and learn a bit about myself, but it was difficult. There's some lonely nights when the wind was howling and there's me and the dog and nobody around. It was kind of weird. And also limited food. I wasn't ever going to go shopping, so 20 days of food. The fresh stuff started to deplete, and I was rationing crackers and red wine. It was, quite funny really when I think about it. I painted this because I was thinking about people around you who support you, and people who you lean on with support, and people who kind of move away from you. I kind of tried to depict it in plants or in an abstract way. That's in Berlin now, somebody bought them. And so painting got me through lockdown as well, because there were dark hours, and then me and a friend used to set ourselves a title every week, and we used to paint. We used to kind of do like a duel, you had to, at 1 o'clock on a Thursday, you had to show you painting. And this one was space. And I really like it because it was just like the kind of thing of the social isolation when we couldn't get close to each other. I included a quote a bit from the journal. I've learned a few things during the last 20 days. This was in the 20 days journal. Painting is a tool that can be used to manage my mental health. The choices I make about subject matter, scale and technique are partly instinctive, but can be steered to have maximum therapeutic effect. Living alone requires the development of some level of structure and rules, eating, drinking, exercise. The less I worry about what people think and stop comparing and competing, the happier I am, because I have nobody to compare with and compete with. And I also thought, what I wrote about, if you have symptoms and nobody's there to see your symptoms, are they there at all? It's the old existential question. There I am, kind of in depression stage. Then I came back and I set up a Wednesday night art group. We used to join via Zoom and they'd set a subject up every week, and a few of us would Zoom in. It was really lovely, and you can see through the paintings that we did that the mood changed, and as it got darker into winter, the tone of the paintings got more depressing, but we kept ourselves going. And we're doing an exhibition actually in November at a local place near to where I live, and we're going to print out all the WhatsApp messages, because we had like conversations, and then we've got the paintings that go in between them. It's quite a nice thing, I think. Kept us going. And I also use colour in my artwork, so I noticed that I did these pink paintings all in one like little cluster. And I use colour. Colour chooses me sometimes. It's hard to say, but sometimes I end up painting in a certain way with a certain colour, and I don't know why I'm doing it. And I'm obviously doing it because I'm like when you're hungry or you're craving something, it makes me feel better. And sometimes I actively choose colour to lift my mood. So if I'm feeling down, I sometimes want to wallow in it with dark colours, or I pick a yellow or a pink that lifts my mood. And the process of slapping on colour really makes me feel a lot better. And then during lockdown, we've got a wonderful group of Parky people who meet up, and we did a Zoom call. We do a Zoom call anyway. It's a Parkinson's club, social club. And one of the guys said to me, "Janet, what's your next challenge?" And I said, "Why is it? It doesn't have to be me. We could do something together." And Ray kind of backed off. But we talked about pantomime, and Sheila, I knew, was a budding stand-up comedian writer. We were all game for doing anything, so we had a go, and we came with this idea called 7 Go Fracking, a comedy take on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We've added neurology and ecology, and we met via Zoom, and we threw ideas around. Sheila wrote the script, and we didn't practice it at all actually.
Yeah.
We just recorded it via Zoom, and I've got a friend who's quite good at mixing things, and he did his best and put some music in between the bits that we wanted. And it's on YouTube, and we shared it around a bit. We put it into a comedy, Parkinson's Comedy Limited, Parkinson's Comedy Festival, and won second prize. So, yay, we're really excited about that. But we knew we got bigger things to come. So we're doing Son of 7 Go Fracking, which is going to be much bigger, much better. Take it on the road. We'll talk about that later. What else have we got? Then, so for something completely different, so that's all rumbling on, and we did this little YouTube thing. 12-hour boxing challenge. So I've been doing boxing. Boxing really helps with Parkinson's. Physical exercise does, and also for self-confidence and body image. And so I got on with the gym, and I said, why can't we do a 12-hour boxing challenge, raising money for Parkinson's? So we did that. We had it cancelled about 4 times due to COVID. But I love this photo because I felt absolutely brilliant in that photo. It's my favourite photo. A friend
you don't
bought
like hot stuff in that, don't you?
my friend bought me. She bought me a boxing robe, and I felt just.
Can we just go a bit?
Yeah. I had a lovely day.
Looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And I boxed 12 hours.
I don't know how you could do.
We had 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, and we did 12
Yeah,
hours.
because I do kickboxing on a Wednesday night, but just an hour is just really exhausting.
Yeah, I just love it. I feel
It does make you feel great, doesn't it? Yeah.
And the gym that I go to, they're magnificent. I love them to bits. The coaches, his mother, the chap Christian, his mother-in-law's got Parkinson's, and he set up a Parkinson's boxing group, and they're just fab. They're like family now. We're going. Our next challenge is we're going kayaking to Scotland next year, wild camping. But there we are. Look. Oh.
Let's go a bit
I want to do it. So you know the thing is, I wouldn't have done any of this stuff. Fantasy diet and Parkinson's.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done any of it.
Ducking and weaving.
Yeah. And I love the things that I've done. You know, so it's not like I'm some kind of thing to pity. So the whole thing about don't pity me, sponsor me. You know. So it's, quickly, I don't know how I'm doing for time.
No, you're right.
Okay. Just tell me if I need to wrap up. So there's a Parkinson's art exhibition. Thank you. That I got involved with, and I submitted a painting, and it got accepted, and that was quite a proud moment because I sell paintings, but I don't exhibit.
At the Oxo building.
Sorry, where was that?
It was at the Oxo.
Because I saw that on Facebook, yeah.
It was at the Oxo Gallery in London. So
Is that a big posh one, like?
it's kind of a community gallery, but it's
Right.
kind of proper, you know, proper stuff. And they had a opening night, obviously, a private view, and I took my sister down because she's cool and supports me. And we wore posh dresses and had nice food, and saw my painting, and that's my painting, and I called it Beckoning. And it's just kind of, everything was for auction at the gallery, and it met its reserve on the first night.
How much was it?
It was only on 400 quid. And and then it went up to 200. It did make 220, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it curtains?
No, it's like trees.
Oh, tree.
You can't see.
It
Can
looks
you?
nice. It looks like posh curtains.
Yeah, no, it's just that painting there, you know,
It's
obviously.
nice.
And it's like a little figure,
Yeah.
and people have kind of taken different things from it. Different meanings.
Yeah, I do.
There we go. But it's actually leaves falling, you know, kind of drifting.
It's lovely.
Look to the camera. Thank you.
And then, so I did that. That was in August. And then, and that was my 50th birthday week as well. I hit 50. And then I went for some funding, disability arts. I've got a friend who's also got Parkinson's who has started to paint with me. And she really enjoys it. And it's really, she never painted in her life, and she really gets loads out of it. And she's quite emotional about how it's made her feel. So I thought we'd apply for some funding and go for a week away in my camper van. And we called ourselves the Artful Parkies. And that's her there. So I adapted my sketch and made it like her. And enjoying painting, raising awareness and living for the moment. I had a lovely time, as you would. And we went to Robin Hood's Bay. And that's my painting of Robin Hood's Bay. And here I'm kind of in the bargaining. I'm all right, actually. And she did a gorgeous painting. That's us in the van. And that's my dog. Wow. She came with me. We slept toe to toe for, you know, and you know what I mean. And Rosie slept at my end. Chris said, "I don't mind taking the dog, but I'm not having it anywhere near my head." We were in the camper van, and it was fine. So she helped, and we had lovely weather, which really helped. So that's the paintings that we did. We were there for six days, and this one I don't really like, but everybody's really liked it since I've.
Different.
Yeah, and I think it's very different for me, and it's kind of abstract. And the idea was it's like when I stop and just pause and have a bit of spare time, creativity and ideas come out of my head, you know, and float out of my head. And I don't do it enough because I'm obviously always trying to fill time to be busy, and then I don't have to think about anything. But I suppose that has some meaning. So I think I'm summarising, I'm getting to the end of my presentation here, but I'm firmly in denial. I'm staying there. I know what's coming, but, you know, I think it's Michael J. Fox said, why worry about, if you worry about the future, if it doesn't happen, you've worried about it for no reason, and if it does happen, you've worried about it twice, you've experienced it twice. So, I'm staying here. Just one last slide. This is kind of the one that I wrote recently. I've been having a bad time lately. My husband's left me, actually. There you go. He doesn't like Parkinson's. So the paradox of living with Parkinson's. This is how I think about it. When all the people that I know as well, you desperately need to talk about how you feel, but you're determined not to be a bore. And this is the same for most things, isn't it? Really? You want and expect people to try and understand what your condition means when you don't really understand it yourself. You put on a constant pretense of dealing with everything when you achingly want somebody to notice that you're not. You want people to love you for who you are when you can't